to the Pasadena Arroyo Seco
Oh yeah, the music festival.
Music festival. Yeah, I think that's a done deal. It's gonna be happening. So we're gonna, and I believe it's the same people who put on Coachella.
It is the same people.
I think so.
It would make sense for them to bring it out here. They're trying. I know Garcetti, the mayor of LA, is trying to put together a music festival.
Yeah, he really wants to bring somebody into LA. Hey, look, we're LA. You know.
Well, we have Coachella, but I'm tired of driving out that far.
Yeah. And Coachella
India's a long ways away.
You know who's playing this year?
Oh yeah, there's a huge lineup. I think the big act is Guns N' Roses.
Guns N' Roses.
There's a couple other. I mean, I know Underworld's there. I mean, there was just a ton of people that are going to be there. But it does look pretty exciting. There are some. I mean, I'd love to go this year, but tickets every year the tickets just get more expensive and more expensive, and gets more packed and sells out quicker and quicker. I mean, you couldn't get. The last couple of times I went, I had to get tickets on Craigslist.
Now, do they have a problem too with scalpers buying up lots of the tickets and selling them for inflated prices?
I think everything does.
Everything does. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I got lucky. I would buy them from people that I can't go. You know, if something happened, I have to get out of town, and I could get a ticket for at cost. But usually that doesn't happen. You got to get lucky. You got to really watch Craigslist and hope that you get the ticket.
Yeah.
You got to drive somewhere right away. So it's not fun.
You know, the whole idea of music festivals, I think that comes probably from initially the Newport Jazz Festival, which began in 1952. Jazz impresario George Wein was in charge of putting that together. And then they had, I think, the Lorillard couple. Lorillard, that's a corporation, isn't it, or a company? Lorillard. They funded it. It was a couple who loved jazz, and they funded that. But that was very successful, and then they had George Wein also promoted the folk festival, which began in 1959, and that was pretty successful too. And then in 1959 also, or 58, the Monterey Jazz Festival began. And that leads us up to 1967, which was the Monterey Pop Festival.
And that was really the first.
That was the first. Yeah, see, because before that, you had folk festivals, you had jazz festivals, and you probably had some classical festivals too. But pop music and rock and roll was considered throwaway music. Everybody, even until the mid '60s, all the people on television, the adults were saying, "Oh, it's not going to last. It's a fad. It's going to." So it was always thought of as disposable. After 3 months, forget about it. But by 1967, things were really starting to change. Bob Dylan had been out. The Beatles had released Sgt. Pepper's. We had Simon and Garfunkel, Brian Wilson's Pet Sounds, and people were starting to take the music seriously. So we were really proud, that. Oh, we got our own festival now. So, and I got to go, my buddies and I.
That's cool.
And it was great. There was a real sense of community. There was just good vibes in the air and great music. And
that's where Hendrix came out, wasn't it?
That's where Hendrix and Joplin, Janis Joplin.
And what do they call the Jefferson Airplane?
The Jefferson Airplane, Country Joe and the Fish, Quicksilver. Who really knocked me out? The one that I really remember was Otis Redding.
Mm. That's right. There was a lot of R&B there.
Booker T. Well, they brought Booker T and the MGs out, and they did a set. And they were out of sight. They were just so tight.
I love Booker T and the MGs.
And then they brought in the horn section, and they became, the Marquis. And then they introduced Otis Redding, and he came bopping out. And within 10 seconds, people were on their feet. It was amazing. He had such charisma, and he had such a powerful voice, and he was just so spiritual and in the moment. I'd never heard anything quite like that. It was really wonderful. So it was a great 3 days. It was a great festival. And then we had, Woodstock, and unfortunately we had Altamont.
Yeah, people who don't know what Altamont is, there's actually a great movie. It's called Gimme Shelter, and it was done by the Maisel brothers. One of the Maisels just passed away this year or last year.
I think they're both gone now.
Oh, they are.
Yeah.
Yeah. They were really talented at recording. They were just great documentarians, but they did a lot of great musical recordings. I mean, they were great. They perfected the music documentary style. They did Woodstock. They had a lot to do with. They did the movie about Muhammad Ali, the Live in Zaire. They did the concert parts of that. But Gimme Shelter is really kind of a tragic event. It just was fated badly from the beginning, and the Stones really didn't have a whole lot to do with it. But if people don't know what it is, there's a video of Sympathy for the Devil, and it shows the actual scene. It was an African American guy kind of dressed in a 70s,
kind of a lime green 3-piece suit.
Yeah, you kind of had the
suit,
pimp swag on, and the Hells Angels, or for some reason somebody thought it would be a great idea to make the Hells Angels the security.
Probably what happened was they probably, we're going to be the security. Okay.
Yeah, I get the Hells Angels doing the security.
Yeah, so you have all these angels out there with pool cues, intimidating everybody,
and everybody,
including the Stones, and they beat up Marty Ballin of the Jefferson Airplane. Injured him really bad too.
It was pretty bad. I mean, the people themselves. It was. You see Woodstock, and there's a drug culture definitely going on, but there was a sort of a temperance to it. It seemed like it was kept within somewhat of within reason, except for the brown acid thing. But the Altamont stuff just looked like.
It just looked like you could just feel the vibes. It's just so tense and paranoid. If I were in there, I just couldn't wait to get out of there.
Yeah.
I felt that way just watching the show.
Yeah, people were climbing on the scaffolding, and it didn't look like it was built right.
And you
either.
can see the Stones are scared to death. But
he tried to talk the audience down.
Mick tried to talk to the audience and tried to keep control of it. But after all, it's just show business. You have all that power, but in a situation like that, you're just a person. So it's. But then after that, there were a lot of other festivals too, and that went on for another couple of years, another 2 or 3 years, a lot of rock festivals, and then there really wasn't that much until
seems like more of the modern era.
Yeah, well, they had that Woodstock.
They had the revitalized
the MTV
Woodstocks.
Woodstock.
Yeah. Those were. There's Lollapalooza probably was first. I would say in the more contemporary festivals. There might have been something before that I'm missing, and a lot of the raves began to get bigger and bigger, and we would call them massives. And then they were. Now they're so big they just call them music festivals. And they have actual major. Once you have a rock act, now suddenly it's a music festival. And Cypress Hill threw one. It was called Smoke Out, and then and those toured, and then it just started. Everybody started to have one, but Coachella was. It was the late 90s, and that really was one of the first. A lot of the rave promoters were involved in it, and they brought in a lot of other concert promoters, and it just started to get bigger and bigger and bigger. It was 2 days originally, and now it's 3 days, so it just got to the point.
It's definitely a big deal.
Yeah, I mean,
big deal.
Huell Hauser went 10 years ago. Oh my! This is wonderful.
Yeah.
So
that means you've hit the mainstream.